As an Australian, I love when I find content creators who are from other countries that really get our country and really understand why we love our country so much and can feel some of that passion themselves. So I found myself another channel to follow. This is an American channel called iWrocker, which I love the name. And he does a range of different videos, but he does do reaction videos to Australia. So I thought, why not have a look at one of his reaction videos and do my own Aussie reaction to the American doing a reaction to the Aussie stuff. So let's jump in. Now, I've only pulled out sections of this video to use for myself because I'm a firm believer in giving people a bit of a taste of a video so that they will go and watch it for themselves. I don't want to steal views from anyone else. So please, after you've watched my video, click the link that's in the description and go watch this guy's video in full. Trust me, it's worth it. He is good value. So, without further ado, let's have a look at Just Another Day in Straya. And yes, I think the title is pretty brilliant, especially for someone who doesn't come from Straya, because he's nailed it.
Alrighty, y'all. G'day. How you going? It is the weekend. Hell yeah. Let's have some fun and look at some funny and crazy Australia posts and just sit back, relax, and have a laugh.
Straight up, I knew I was probably in for something good because honestly, it took me a moment to get my bearings. When he said, "G'day, how you going?" I actually thought that I had stumbled onto an actual Australian video as opposed to an American reacts video, which was confusing because I've seen his content pop up and I was pretty certain that he was American. But it took me a moment to just be sure.
Here we go. All right, this video is titled Just Another Day in Australia. Let's have a look. I don't think it has sound. Okay. We're in a neighborhood. Oh my God. Oh my God. That guy came out of nowhere. Look at him. He wants in. He's like, nope, never mind. I can't tell if those are kangaroos or perhaps wallabies. Are wallabies? Question. Are wallabies as crazy as some kangaroos can be? I suppose maybe, right? Although, look at it's kind of spectacular. It's almost like, yeah, they make some really dumb decisions, but at the same time, they're majestic, right? Like, how do they jump that high? Look at this. Boom. Took a hard landing, broke the fence. He doesn't even care. And he might have been feeling it a little bit. I don't know. Because I think we all know if you really wanted to, I think he could jump over this gate as well.
You know someone's the real deal when they actually look at a video like this and their first question is it a kangaroo or is it a wallaby based on the size of it? And my observation, yeah, you can't really see clearly what it is, but size-wise, I'd have to say it looks like it's got to be a wallaby. Either that or it's a joey that's somehow separated from its mother. But I can't see that being an issue in the suburbs, perhaps. So, yeah, good work. I think it probably is a wallaby. And yeah, wallabies can be just as dumbass as kangaroos when it comes to jumping into things. This is from someone who has had half the front of her bumper bar destroyed in the past by a wallaby jumping out from the side of the road randomly when I didn't see it at all and I had no chance of stopping. They really don't seem to look where they're going a lot of the time. Perhaps it is from jumping headfirst into things like this that makes them so thick that they do jump into things like this. Yeah, possibly he could have at a stretch, jumped this gate, although what you saw on this video was pretty much what their standard hopping height would be. In fact, I think that when it comes to roos and wallabies, their standard hopping height is probably calibrated to ensure that they do the most damage to a vehicle when they collide with it.
Alrighty, this post is titled, "What's Up With This Country?" Let's see.
People have warned me about the snakes and the spiders, but why has nobody warned me about the crickets?
The crickets. My God, look at all of them.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yikes. They're making their cricket noises. Those are indeed crickets. It's funny because I actually love like the ambiance of, a nice night that was, a warm day. It's cooling down at night and you hear that cricket sound. It's such a good, I don't know. It's like a nostalgic feeling, right? It's fun. But seeing crickets in this context, not as soothing somehow. Wow. What is the deal with this? Anyone? I don't know. I've never walked into what looks to be obviously a public bathroom and seen crickets all over. Maybe I've been lucky. Anyone want to spell this out? What's going on there? Pretty fascinating.
Yep, the classic combination of a warm evening, bright lights, and an open door. I think so many of us who've ever been camping as kids are probably familiar with these public bathrooms where people go in and out and the lights are left on overnight because campers need to get in, and the doors are left open because campers don't think to shut the doors. And you get this happening. And trust me, it's not fun when you walk into a place like that and there's live crickets everywhere. It's very cringeworthy. But yeah, they are attracted to the bright lights. So you do see, quite often in campgrounds, you see signs on the doors asking people to please shut the doors when they go in and out. And this is the reason why. So not cool. And it's not just crickets. You get moths who will hatch when it's warm, and suddenly you get moths everywhere in public bathrooms. And these big solid beetles that if they fly into you, it's like donk. It's like someone's throwing a pebble at your head. So there's plenty of critters like these crickets who will take advantage of bright lights and end up in bathrooms like this. And of course then the next thing is you go in the following morning and there's all these dead critters all over the floor. Part of living in Australia, but still not cool.
Okay, so someone's phone, like GPS or map app or whatever, wants them to go from way over here, kind of near, it looks like maybe Melbourne area, let's just pretend, right? All the way up here and all the way over and all the way down to go to Perth instead of cutting, I don't know, kind of straight across like this, following kind of like the coastline, right? Yeah, sounds pretty weird. It also sounds par for the course because I have had, I told you I would love to do a video series on all the times and kind of crazy horror stories that my wife and I have over the years, especially when we were younger, not so much now, of our phone really screwing us with directions before. I'm kind of not surprised it would suggest something goofy like this. So what's the reason? I don't know. I'd chalk it up to phone GPSs acting like phone GPSs. They always do weird stuff like this. But if we go to the comments, someone says a 400-kilometer stretch of the air highway between Adelaide and Perth is currently closed because of a bushfire. Okay. Well, that's actually something legitimate then. I'm guessing this is the only way around. Okay, that's wild. So there's only 2 sealed roads linking Western Australia to the rest of the country? Is that true? That's actually kind of crazy. I know it's super empty and just kind of wild out here, right? So I'm not like blaming the country for only having 2 ways into that state, which just sounds mind-blowing because look how big of a state border that is. But damn, that is like messed up. That's crazy, dude.
Now, I could be wrong here because, to be honest, I've never travelled over the South Australia border, even. So, I'm just going with probably guesswork here. But I would imagine when you think about it, you have a massive desert smack bang in the middle of Australia there. So, there's probably a good chance that there is only the 2 sealed roads to get you through. It's pretty amazing when you look at the size of Western Australia. But yeah, there's a big chunk in the middle of Australia that's just uninhabited desert, which would explain a lot of it. Also, spot on, that looks to be precisely where Melbourne is. This guy's a smart cookie.
Ooh, this ought to be good. Melbourne weather. We got to click on this. Let's put it full screen here. Here we go. Brace yourself. You never know. I've heard Melbourne weather can be all over the place. Here we go.
Weather cunt. It's fucking sunny outside, and it's fucking hailing. What the fuck is Australia, mate?
That is pretty weird, I gotta admit. You know, every once in a while you see these really weird weather anomalies, and you're like, can someone just explain this to me? You know, like, I took meteorology class, right? For a while. I'm not a meteorologist, don't claim to be. But I did have an interest in it when I was younger, and some things just don't make sense. This is pretty funny. Blue skies, everything's green, you got the sun out, but it's hailing? What the hell, man?
Yep, if you've ever lived in Melbourne or in Tassie, then you have experienced this kind of weather. That's why they say, if you don't like the weather, come back in 5 minutes. And of course, people aren't joking when they say that in Melbourne and Tasmania, you can experience 4 seasons in one day. In actual fact, you can experience 4 seasons in 1 hour. And this is a classic example of just that. Insane weather, but also pretty much normal for Melbourne and pretty much normal for Tassie. I know there's this perception of Australia as being this hot, sunny country that's everyone's always at the beach all the time. But you've got to remember that when you look at latitude, the climates are quite diverse when you look at Tasmania compared to Northern Territory. And it's because it does cover quite a large area in terms of latitude. So Tassie, you've got your cold weather, your winds, your snow. It's kind of more like your British weather. And then you head up to Queensland and Northern Territory, and that's where you get the heat and the sunshine and the 40 degrees Celsius temperatures, you know, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And you've also got the other extremes. When you look at Victoria, you've got Melbourne that's got the weather like what you've just seen quite often. But if you go into central Victoria, then you get areas like Bendigo, where it's pretty much sunshine for 10 months of the year. And it's warm for most of the year. And it's so very different weather to Melbourne, because it is so far inland that you don't have any of the coastal weather coming in. Likewise, some of the hottest parts of Australia are inland in Queensland, because they're away from the coast.
What's this one? Do you really do this? Schnitzel. A schnitzel, colloquially known in Australian English as a schnitty, is a thin slice of meat. The meat is usually thinned by pounding with a meat tenderizer. Most commonly, the meat is breaded before frying. You call schnitzels schnitties. That's freaking hilarious.
Okay, so I'd really like to know the origins of this comment that a schnitzel is called a snitty. Because I have never ever encountered this anywhere other than on YouTube. I saw an Australian comedian doing a skit where they were talking about everything being shortened, so you get, your tradies, etc. And they were joking about the snitty. But honestly, I've never been anywhere and heard anyone refer to it as a snitty. It could be a regional thing, so if there's anyone here who is from Australia and they live in an area where it is referred to as a snitty, I'd really love to hear from you. But for me, it's a schnitzel. Every time I've been somewhere, mainly pub meals, because that's mainly where you get them, but go for a pub meal somewhere, you're ordering a schnitzel, not a snitty. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm really curious about this now.
This is how my girlfriend likes her Vegemite. Can I trust her? Oh my God. That's scary. That actually scares me. Remember, I'm someone who does like Vegemite. It is a bizarre food and it's very different, but I have had it a lot since, I was introduced to it from this channel and from you guys, and it is good, especially, there's different ways to go about it. That is not how you go about it. That, as someone who does respect the product, that is frightening. That is, that's grotesque. That's not happening.
That is definitely gross and freakish. Like, oh my gosh, I can't even tell if there's any butter or margarine under that. That's like full-on salt overdose and almost guaranteed to cause a gag reflex. But that said, it's almost a rite of passage for some people in Australia to test their limitations when it comes to Vegemite. I do remember as a teen going through a phase where I was gradually using more and more Vegemite on my toast. I don't know why I was doing it. It was just something that I did. Eventually I got sick of it and I went back to having proper Vegemite on toast. So I think she'll grow out of it. I'm sure that no regular person would continue to do this with Vegemite for the rest of their life. Although that said, this could be one of those things, how in Japan people go to restaurants and they order the fugu, the fish, where if they give you the wrong cut and they actually nick a particular part of the inside of the fish, it will literally kill you. So maybe this is the Australian version of the fugu. See how much Vegemite you can actually have until it does finally kill you.
One of the best views. Oh my God, this is beautiful. Where is this? Yes, please don't come to Canberra. It's awful. Tell your friends. Ah, okay. Yeah, it looks like an awful place. Let's take a look. Yeah, just awful. Wow. Very cool.
So that would be the obligatory Mount Ainslie tourist shot. I've only been to Canberra once. I never made it up to Mount Ainslie because the weather was hideous. It was the middle of winter and it was just pouring with rain. It was freezing cold. I ended up back in our Airbnb room, tucked into the bed in the middle of the day with the electric blanket going because I'd had a major asthma attack and I was just trying to warm myself up. So that was my experience of Canberra. To me, it's worth a visit. The National Gallery is pretty awesome. You've got the Australian War Memorial, which is also pretty awesome. I think I'd like to go back, but definitely not in winter. The thing I do find with Canberra is that it seems so sterile. It was all mapped out by an architect, so it is this city that was all perfectly planned out. If you're travelling, I would actually say go and check Canberra out because it is so very different from anywhere else in Australia. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed my video. And of course, if you did enjoy my video and you'd like to see more, please click the subscribe button. It's free for you and it'll help me to grow my channel and get seen out there in the big world of YouTube. Also, please hit the like button and leave a comment below. What do you think about the things that we've discussed in today's video? Thanks, and I hope you'll come back for more.